What is the problem here? Hey, Brother Alan. Can you hear me okay? All right. Well, can you bring me on with Brother Ira then?
Bring him in?
Yeah, bring him in.
Good afternoon, St. Louis, Missouri, New Orleans, Louisiana, Houston, Texas, Indianapolis, Indiana, Topeka, Kansas, Vicksburg, Mississippi, Miami Beach, Florida, Louisville, Kentucky, Chicago, Illinois, Denver, Colorado, Dallas, Texas, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Central California, country, the home of the Trailblazer Awards. Welcome to lunch with the Missouri Cable Company for May the 14th, 2022. My name is Ira Post, your host. and created along with Elder Lyles. How you doing, Red?
Fine.
And how's the family?
Fine.
That's a good thing. That's good. And Scott, how you doing today?
I'm too blessed to be stressed.
Well, we're trying to stress you out. Seeing that the stores, it's trying to be difficult there. Who knows? But anyway, you listen to Ferguson USA HotRadio.com, and we're broadcasting live from Ferguson, through Ferguson USA HotRadio.com, from beautiful North St. Louis County, North St. Louis, and on to Missouri. And we want to thank you. And today we have to have prayer with Elder Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Baptist Chapel Church, located at 5547 Avenue and 63120 St. Louis, Missouri. That's Pastor Elder Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Baptist Chapel Church, 5547 Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri, 63120. And next word you hear, we get that Elder Lyles is the pastor of the Walnut Park Baptist Chapel Church, located in North St. Louis at 5547 Avenue. Pastor Elder Lyles, how you doing today, sir?
Fine.
And what do you have for us?
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we continue to thank you for a wonderful gospel. How that Christ died for our sins, was buried, and rose again. I continue believing to the saving of the soul that continues to make heaven your home before you sleep and after you sleep. And Heavenly Father, we thank you that we are already seated in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus. Our name is written in the book of life. And Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless the sick all over the universe, Heavenly Father, the saved and the unsaved. The unsaved, let them know they should know how to be saved by believing the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And the saved know they're already saved by believing the same thing, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So, Heavenly Father, we just ask you to bless this service in Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
Well, Reverend Lyles, we want to thank you for those beautiful words, okay? And I know you got some pearls of wisdom for us for this week.
Yes, I'm the 7th chapter of Romans.
Okay, good chapter.
But my theme is the gospel. So I'm gonna start with the 7th chapter, and the gospel, a clear of all is in the 7th chapter, and I'm gonna start with the 15th verse because my time is running out, so I'm gonna have to get this in. You know.
We understand that we have a problem this afternoon, I should say.
Okay, we gonna start with the strife of the two natures under the law. That's what was going on right then when we tried to start this. That old other nature trying to come in and call some chaos.
Yes.
For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. This is the 7th chapter of Romans. But what I hate, that do I. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwell in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not. That's why there's no good thing that dwells in the flesh. For the good that I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do. Now if I do that, I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then the law, that when the eye will do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. O wretched man that I am, who should deliver me from the body of this death? And here's the answer. The 25th verse says, I thank God through Jesus Christ, our Lord. So then with the mind, I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh, the law of sin. And I got something else with this lesson.
Okay, go ahead.
The main thing of this lesson is talking about the gospel. The gospel, first the G and gospel is God. The O is Omega. The S is Savior. The P is perfection. The E is everlasting. And the L is life. Now Romans 14:9, everything, that's why we always got to keep our minds stayed on Jesus. And this is the mind of Christ by keeping the gospel coming forth whatever you do. Always preach the gospel.
Yes.
Romans 14:9 says this. For to this end Christ both died and rose and revived, that he might be Lord both of the dead and living. That's a just and the unjust. 1 Corinthians 15 is the next one. And verse 3 and 4. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins, according to the scripture, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day, according to the scriptures. Now, 2 Corinthians 5:15. And that he died for all, the just and the unjust, that they which live should not henceforth live unto themselves, but unto him which died for them and rose again. Hello?
I'm still here. Go ahead, Red. I'm just listening to you.
Oh, okay.
No, I was listening to you since we was kind of short on time. I want to make sure I heard everything you can say there and not kind of, cut out nothing.
So all this with Jesus Christ, and that's with the 7th chapter of Romans. Everything always has to be, the gospel must be preached at all times.
But see, Red, that's a problem nowadays. Okay, that one of the things we're doing a show, sometime next month, that we're going to talk about the state of the gospel of the church in the black community, and have you and some other guests, like Natural Bishop Ellis come in and Reverend Clyde, and also discuss, what's going on in our churches overall, because that's why the gospel sometimes has been not preached the right way or not being preached, and that's what we have some of our problems nowadays. Would you agree?
Yep. See, the gospel's hidden to them that are lost. That's because they ain't preaching it.
Right.
If they ain't preaching it, how can they hear? They say, how can you hear without a preacher? And how can you preach except you be sent? So the preachers that be sent All of them have to believe the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. And pass from death into life. They must preach that all the time. That's the mind of Christ. It's the gospel. The death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's what needs to be preached all the time. And it don't take that long to preach it.
No. You gotta be consistent with it also.
Yes, sir. And you just go through the word, bring that out, and we know no matter what happens, he rose. He got up. He got up out that grave. He didn't stay there.
Couldn't hold.
Ain't nobody else got up. Nobody but Jesus Christ got up. Look out.
Yes.
He's the only one that can give you eternal life. That's why the gospel must be preached. It's more necessary to preach the gospel than you breathing. And you know, if you ain't breathing, you dead.
Amen to that. You know, and that's the thing, Rev. You got to believe and you got to be consistent.
Amen.
And on our program, we try to be consistent with what we say and how we do it.
So that's it, Aaron.
Okay, well, I know that today people did tune in. We were a little late because we have some telephone issues, which, you know, people are not aware. You heard this before on full moons and stuff. There are things, waves in the air, which is called the evil spirit. But we got around it today. You listen to Fowlkes at USAHotRadio.com. My name is Aaron Folks, that's Scott, and we listen to Lunch with the Missouri Chamber Commerce on a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful May afternoon. Scott, take us out of here. Missouri by Chamber of Commerce on a beautiful, beautiful series down from here in St. Louis. Matter of fact, we had some 90s this week, and it's going back to normal weather. Well, almost normal weather, because right now it's still not in the 70s like it's supposed to be. But, you know, it's not what's supposed to be what we have. Okay. But anyway, I want to thank everybody. We want to thank everybody for the opportunity. Thank you for continuing to pray during this coronavirus, COVID-19, Delta variant, Omicron, and all this B2A, and it's coming out B2A1 pandemic. And it's killed over 1 million people officially now. Officially, 1 million Americans are no longer here. As a matter of fact, 272 died on Friday. You know, so that number is starting to creep back up. They had 87,000 cases reported. So all this about stop wearing your masks. All this about you can do this, you can do that. Please, I had a friend of mine that was flying. He said I was the only person on the plane with a face mask on, and he said, but I kept my face mask on because I want to live another day. You know, and I know I want to live another day. So right now, and I know people who have contacted COVID-19. Yes, it may be mild, but they also have some after effects. So again, you know, the viruses, the vaccine is working. Yes, they are. So right now we don't have all the gloom and doom about 2 years ago. One thing America has figured out how to deal with this, you know, but now I will say this, that it's important for us, okay, to be vigilant our own selves. And that goes back to basic thing we heard as kids, wash your hands, if you can social distance as much as you can. And also make sure you wear your face mask, you know, and Scott, we gave a number out last week for those who wanted face masks to call you. So just get a number one more time, Scott.
My phone number is 314-277-0621.
Yes, if you call that, well, you gotta get 3 times, you know the rule.
Of course. In order to get in touch with Ferguson USA Hot Talk Radio, you call 314-277-0621. That's 314-277-0621.
And if you want a couple of free KNY95 face masks, if you can get in contact with us. Now, that's if you're in the country. If you're in, we broadcast to several, over 10, countries around the world, okay? So I'm saying these are people that's in the United States, so we'll make sure we're clear on that. And we will get you a couple of KNY95 face masks to keep you people strong. And also, this to show you how this virus is not going away. North Korea leader
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un, okay, he has declared an emergency outbreak of COVID-19 in their country. And he reported a total of 27 deaths already. And this is late April. And they already have 524,000 cases that they had out there in his area, of the world. And also, while we had this conversation, we've been talking about this for a while also, in Shanghai, China's largest city, it remains on lockdown. Now, this is creating some problems, for the Kim
Jong-un.
No, this is the Chinese president, Kim Jinping. Kim Jinping, okay. And then right now, several of the lower cities there are being shut. Matter of fact, that's one reason we have a lot of problems. See, a lot of products that we were using in this country came from China. And with these cities being locked down, that means people cannot go to work. So that means we cannot get resources like Similac and a lot of products that we become used to, in our country, saying that you can buy cheap because it came from China. Well, right now that is not the case because China is on a lockdown from this COVID-19, and it's not going away. It's seems to be getting worse there. And also, to show how bad this is, the Chinese government right now, they hold their leaders responsible. And so right now, Kim Jinping, their president was like a dictator there in the communist country. Well, this may even shake his hold on power. Because they already reports, okay, that a change may be taking place. Mainly because COVID-19 cannot be addressed with the people there. And one thing for sure, if people are not working, the economy is not doing well, they cannot export anything. So right now, United States will get former President Donald Trump, he did a mad rush, okay, to get these vaccines, created. That was a good thing for our country. So 2 years, looking back now, over 2 years now, I should say, that we're kind of looking in the rearview mirror because sure we still have it now, and all around the country, all states right now, for the most part, are experiencing, some outbreaks. Even here in St. Louis, they can get their task force back together. And they're saying it may not be as prevalent as it was before, where, had to shut down businesses and stuff, but it does have an adverse effect on our people, and especially people of age, So, and also, speaking internationally, this has been a crazy week for the war that Russia brought on against the Ukraine nation. Over there, Putin has miscalculated on several things that he's done here so far. He had thought this invasion would take place, be done in a couple of weeks, where he's going to take the capital of Ukraine. Well, that did not take place. It's not going to take place. It seems like now, okay. Then he tried to bomb some other cities, and that did not take place. And the problem that he fought here, okay, is people had faith in themselves that they wanted to fight for their country. And right now, they seem to be out fighting them. They're fighting back. Matter of fact, as you can see, they show the demonstration of bridges being blown up. In the past, the Russians had counted on the bridges being there for them to go across and bring any tanks in. Well, if they don't have no bridges, they can't bring no tanks in. And so right now, and that put the supply lines for the Russians. So, and again, at the end of the day, this has made Russia seem kind of not as prepared as it was before. And also, while all this is going on, Ukraine became, attacked because Mr. Vladimir Putin has said that he didn't want them to join, NATO. Well, he also gave that same mandate to all the nations that bordered his country. So now, Finland decided they want to join NATO. So has Sweden decided they want to join NATO. And now this is almost doubling the border, okay, the country that border Russia here. And now, if you think about this is not a good time for Putin because right now he has to fight on multiple fronts. I mean, because right now, Sweden and Finland for years, okay, have all fought Russians over and over again. And that's one reason why they didn't want to fight with Finland, okay. But right now, they have put their request in this past week, and it's been reported that right now Sweden is saying me too. And so right now, on top of that, what's going on there, the economy in Russia is starting to go in the wrong direction. A lot of the oligarchs, those are the billionaires, friends of Mr. Putin, they're starting to complain that this is not good for the home team. And so what's happening now is that they're speaking out, and so now also you're seeing more and more pictures back home as we have this conversation today. There's a sergeant, that's being tried in Ukraine right now for killing an older man, shot in the back. As well as they had other pictures of them shooting people in the back, So right now, Russia's invasion is said it's probably been over a month. We're going into our third month, so that is not a very good thing for Russia right now, and also for Mr. Putin. And also on top of that, Mr. Putin is also been reported to have health problems, and we all know how health can affect anything that you do. And so right now, that's not a good thing. And so, and I said health problems, I'm talking about serious problems, okay, that has been reported. But right now, once a person becomes weak, okay, people kind of see things on the inside, and they don't mind challenging you now. So right now, if you watch this whole thing from afar, Russia is weakening, and just today in Ukraine, the minority leader in the Senate, Ms. McConnell, took a delegation to Ukraine, and they're bringing over $40 billion. Well, let me digress. We had 99 senators vote to want to vote in favor. But you had one Senator, Ron Paul from Kentucky, who objected to that vote. Now, it makes no sense, but that's how sometimes people like Ron Paul, who's always been on the wrong side of history in most cases, is now. So right now with O'Connell being there, he would love that says we brought this to you, said $1 billion. Now what does that do? That means that Russia is right now on the defense in most cases, because they bring in weapons, helicopters, and this is just what the United States is bringing in. And now you're not hearing a lot of reports, okay? But Russia is having the Ukraine is taking the war to Russia now. I mean, which is a good thing because they didn't ask for this, and so right now, and even while this is taking place over in Taiwan, like we talked about the Chinese government there. Well, there's rumors, okay, about them wanting to also invade Taiwan. And and this is just a personal opinion, but all these dictators right now all have one thing in common. When President Trump was president, he had a lot of private conversations on the record that we know nothing about. And so we're not sure. And the only dictator that's still in existence that he met with and talked to is the one in Turkey. And guess what? He come out against Finland joining the United Nations. And also against Sweden. So again, he's one of the few dictators that's still out there. So we're going to have this going to take place. But anyway, that's what's going on around the world. And here in our country, the United States Select Committee, House Representatives Select Committee on the overthrow of the government, invasion, whatever you want to call it, is not going well. As a matter of fact, this past week they released 5 subpoenas, one for Speaker, for Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. And you say, why is this taking place? Well, they have a lot of records. They have a lot of text messages, documentations. They have did over almost 1,000 interviews with people. Inside and out, who are involved with this, and we have, oh my God, a slew of indictments that are taking place, and convictions that are taking place. So right now, one thing is for sure, and I quote with former Attorney General Eric Holder, that right now it's been proven time and time again that the former President Donald Trump did commit acts of treason. That he did, in fact, break the law to try to overthrow the government. And that this started long before January the 6th, but that just was a combination. And one thing about this, we talked about this before, we can always follow the records, to where, who did what. And so now as people follow the records right now, this is what we're trying to find out. So right now, former President Trump's inner circle, including his family members, have all come out, and actually testified that, in closed sessions. And by the way, less than a month from now, June the 6th, these hearings will be starting to go in public. And that's going to be quite a bit. And I said that's quite a bit. And also, in addition to what's going on the January 6th committee, a federal grand jury has been assembled and issued these one subpoenas to the Department of Justice probe into the former Vice President's transfer of classified White House records to his Mar-a-Lago estate, resort, I should say. Now, if you recall, there were 15 boxes that the Fowlkes could not find, and they found it at Mar-a-Lago. Now, federal records and stuff, the Fowlkes have already subpoenaed, they've been subpoenaed, and they already provided their documents. So this is something that's very, very important. See, anything that when you're in the White House, or you're in the Senate, all your records, everything you do, all your text messages, all of your documentation, invitation, phone logs, all that information, okay, is the government. That belongs to us. We are the government. And no one is entitled to take that away outside of the building, period. And so needless to say, they have evidence of this because one photographer, we talked about this a couple of months ago, every White House president they have a photographer assigned to them to take pictures of their administration behind the scenes. Well, this one photographer did like they always do, and they normally release a book later on in the other office about what the president did. Well, in this case, President Trump asked the photographer not release photos and let him look at them, And what he did, he took our photos and made a book out of it and made money off of it. And so again, we already know that he's handling the documents not the proper way. And these are just some of the concerns that we're seeing here. Because one of the things that we're finding out here that all these investigations normally lead to conviction someplace. So right now, I was talking to a friend of mine, and just yesterday, is any man above law? I said, no, they're not. I said, they probably won't put President Trump in jail, okay? But they probably will make sure that he never run for office again. That's the only person they can possibly give him. Okay, so right now, as all this is taking place, a lot else is going on. Matter of fact, at the Supreme Court, well, the leaked document about the Roe versus Wade. Matter of fact, just this past week on Thursday, I want to say that the Supreme Court held their first meeting about what took place. They didn't. Well, put it this way, we don't know what was discussed, okay, but we do know that it was a private meeting, and we do know just yesterday that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was criticizing, the way it went down, but now this investigation is going to be very secretive, okay, as we said last week. A lady by the name of Gail Curley. You're going to hear her name, Gail Curley. Now, she's the marshal for the Supreme Court, and it's her job to coordinate any investigations. See, this is kind of funny, but the Supreme Court is about to investigate its own self. And you know how these may go. So right now, the FBI out there probably will be working up under her jurisdiction, and to see how right now, and you say, why is this important? Well, for 50 years or more, since 1973, this has been law, and now the government is about to tell a woman what she can do with her body. Now, we just went through a big fight here about COVID-19 because people did not want to wear face masks because they didn't want the government to tell them they had to wear a face mask. So, but you compare that to a woman, okay, and tell her what she cannot do and what she cannot do with her body. And we haven't talked about abortion and stuff like that. There are a whole lot of other rights and stuff that comes with that. We understand that we make sure that when this takes place, that women continue to have control of their own bodies. And that's a very, very important thing, no matter who you are. And also, as I said before, this past week, matter of fact, this is a great deal here. A small college in Texas, in Marshall, Texas, Wiley College, the 2022 graduating class of 100 students are debt-free, thanks to a donation of an anonymous donor. Thank God for them. And also, we want to give congratulations to Cheyenne Herbert, who will be on the air with us next week. She graduated this today, matter of fact, in the University of Missouri in Kansas City this weekend. She graduated at the top of her class.
Amen.
Yes, and we all know she's smart now. Everybody knows she's smart. And also, we have a very special guest, our next guest, matter of fact, Ms. Price. She graduated last week from Howard University. And so these are some of the smart young black people who are graduating. And also, some bad news is, down in Georgia, this bus got pulled over, and this lacrosse team got embarrassed. And there's going to be a federal investigation, how, what not to be done. So if things change, if some of them remain the same.
See, Alan?
Yes, sir.
I have something that I think will be really important to read. It's not that long, but it's dealing with politics.
Okay.
It's from the Universal Unabridged Dictionary defines politics as the science of government, that part of ethics, which consists in the regulation and government of a nation or state for the preservation of its safety, peace, and prosperity,
Mhm.
and the protection of its citizens
Mhm.
in their rights,
Mhm.
with the preservation and improving of their morals. They got away from that, Ira.
The word moral right now, unfortunately, does not fit into the equation too many more times. As a matter of fact, having said that, in Missouri, our legislators just this past week passed a United States House of Congressional map at the last minute to draw the boundaries, as you said, Rev, for the eight congressional districts, which would be they probably would be for 6 Democrats, and 6 Republicans, 2 Democrats. But according to Attorney General, Secretary of State John Ashcroft, this is too little, too late, and this is not going to work out. And also, University of Missouri legislature did pass the largest budget in our history of over $49 billion. And also tomorrow. And also another thing here, in Missouri, Johns Hopkins University conducted a study that shows police shootings arose in Missouri after concealed weapons restrictions, which you all know that. And tomorrow, the Animal Alone May Day Parade, which has been around since 1910, making it the oldest black parade in the country, and the second largest in America. Congratulations to them, will kick off tomorrow downtown. And unfortunately, we continue to say this, St. Louis County and St. Louis City, carjacking and murders continue to rise. And then no Scott, kick us out. If you listen to Ferguson, USA, HotRadio.com. My name's Darren Fowlkes, that's Scott, and that's Rev. We'll be right with our special guest.
Amen.
Amen. Well, Ms. Price?
Hello.
How you doing? Thank you for
I'm
calling.
good. How are you?
Well, you came in on the tail end of some stuff we were talking about today. But we always do that on the show, that people know a little history that people don't talk about a lot,
Mhm.
that need to be talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so much is going on. But again, congratulations, on graduation, and matter of fact, we talked later on about this, about you may possibly want to work with, we do a thing every third Saturday. I'll talk about the next generation, the Zoomers as they call, about what if you all look for the future, you may well be a part of that. That's some food for thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay, Scott, you can move behind here and ready when you are. In fact, how do you pronounce your first name? I want you to get it right. Then Elise?
Elise, yeah.
Elise, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Scott, bring us back.
Yes, sir. You're back.
Listen, Ferguson USA, HotRadio.com on a beautiful, Saturday here in St. Louis. It's one of the coolest, better days of the week. It's been 90 degrees for several days here, and this is kind of cooled off. But listen, Ferguson USA, HotRadio.com, Lunch with Missouri Chamber of Commerce. We have a very special guest, one of our newer members to the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, and one of our brand new graduates from Howard University, Miss Elise Price. How you doing, Miss Price?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, first of all, congratulations, on graduating from Howard University with the Black HBCU. When I know a lot of family and people, friends who gone there, and it's a very good institution. And so right now, I gotta ask you this: right now, as you just graduated, okay, and you watching what's going on in this world that you want to be into, what are your thoughts?
There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done, and I guess I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, what do I want to do to help impact this world, but also, do something that I'm passionate about. So I went to school for media, film, and journalism. Specifically, my concentration was broadcast journalism, and I had a minor in photography. So I've always storytelling, news, and I think one way that I'm going to fit into, I guess, adulthood is working within media, journalism, just media aspects in general. And I definitely have the work that I do showcase Black people in a positive light, because that's kind of what made me choose my major. Growing up in St. Louis, no good stories, no like nothing positive, and Black people just weren't seen positively within the media. So I think part of what I want to do is, with whatever I go into, just help showcase Black people in a positive light. Because we're more than just, what is being talked about, which is crime and things of that nature. Yeah.
Well, you're right about that. It's more than just crime nowadays, and we have to be able to go out there and tell a different story, about what is actually going on, and that's where the problem comes in. Okay, it's he or who tells the story, kind of makes all the difference in the world.
Right.
Well, one of the things that in history that always Sister Tony, when they have a photography, they have a photo shot of something, okay, that goes into the broadcast, it always reflects, and like now, we're watching pictures over in Ukraine. I'm watching pictures right now. Well, let me ask you a question about this. You're talking about preserving history. This is something kind of close to you. Just recently, a college, Delaware State, from over in the state of Delaware, they have a cross team was pulled over on the highway down in Georgia. And thank God they got pictures of the whole event. What are your thoughts on that situation?
Actually, a similar situation that happened to Howard's lacrosse team, where they experienced a bit of racism. But I think the best thing about this situation is that Delaware has support, not just from the school, but from other HBCUs. People are like bringing attention to this. It's not something that's like an isolated incident that can be swept under the rug. Like, I think bringing more attention to it, and it's honestly sad that in 2022 we're still like having sundown towns and just like experiencing, like, people are we're not progressive as we think. Like, the whole country is not as progressive as we think. So I think the most important thing, like when those situations happen, is unity, and being there for Delaware, shedding light on it through the media, like holding those people accountable, and like actually making sure that justice is served. Because when we don't rally with numbers, then that's how the same thing keeps happening.
Well, right now I think I've been in Georgia. I ran into some problems down there years ago, and down there the sheriffs think they're still old school, because just recently we had the killing down there. I went to trial on Mr. Aubrey, where they hunted him down.
Right.
And you see these same sheriff departments that think that this was a joke, and I couldn't imagine how somebody felt, you just, you lived in your school, and you're doing the right thing, and the bad part about this, they didn't even get a driver ticket for putting them over. That doesn't speak good, okay, for them saying they had a case. So right now, okay, as you look forward to your future, what are some of the other things that that you? Well, I should ask this question. Tell us a little bit about Howard University. There's a lot of people here about Howard University, being a graduate of Howard. Tell us a little bit about the school itself.
I had a great time at Howard. I did it. I really did. Up until when COVID happened, I do feel like I got some of my experiences robbed from me. Not even just like on the fun side of things, like homecoming and things, but just like in-person classes, specifically within journalism. So senior capstone class, we're supposed to be like running news, basically running a newsroom. So we're all doing that from like our own homes. So it was like a lot of like change in that, like adapting really quickly. And then also you have to go think about how it's campus culture. So basically,
at least come closer to your telephone.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, but you kind of crack it up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Alright. Just 1 second. Okay. So basically, another thing that happened was we have 3 freshman classes basically that have never set foot on campus. So,
much better.
Yeah, okay. So the culture is changing, So people that have never stepped foot on campus, everybody's kind of looking at each other like, what do we do? Because usually upperclassmen kind of show freshmen and underclassmen the way that Howard is. So I think a lot of that got lost within COVID, but that also created opportunity for, those classes to make a name for themselves and, create new culture on campus. But I know for a fact for like my last semester specifically, I did notice a lot of changes that I was like, oh, it's not the same when I was a freshman, or oh, a lot of this got lost because of COVID. But I went to a predominantly white high school, so definitely being surrounded by Black people and seeing different versions of Black people. I'm meeting people from the Caribbean, from that are Nigerian, Jamaican. Like, I'm just seeing different representations of Black people that I had never seen before. It got to the point where people are like, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm just Black. And then they're like, oh, so you don't know where you're from? Like, you're not Caribbean? I'm like, dang, I don't know. So it just makes you think about just being exposed to those different types of culture, just being around different Black people is very refreshing. I'm seeing Black millionaires, people that parents have money, like I'm not seeing the same negative light of Black people that I saw within St. Louis, and just like in media in general. So I think I got the tools that I needed to get to really be empowered and take on. I really do feel like I can take on anything after Howard. Like, I didn't go to school with scholarship. I lost freshman. There was a technicality with like EFCs or something, so I lost the scholarship I had that year. So I was really hustling like my whole time there. I was always doing something. Like, that's what that's what I'm pretty much known for on campus. I just have so many different hustles, and I wouldn't have gotten that anywhere else if I would have stayed home or just had access to family. So I think it pushed me out into the real world, and it forced me to grow up. And I'm just really grateful for the time that I had there and the experiences and the people that I came across.
Also, you from St. Louis, people not aware. You said it. What high school did you go to in St. Louis?
I went to Crossroads College Prep.
Okay. Now where's that located at?
It's in the Loop, so right on DeBow River, like off of Delmar.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure was. Okay. And that's the right now. Okay. Going to a school like it's a pretty much all-white school. Matter of fact, I got to admit to you, when I went to Wilberforce some years ago, that I had a similar experience. Okay, because I was a soul here in St. Louis, and we had a couple of Black entities at the school there. But now, when I got to Wilberforce to see all of us walking around, and from all different countries and different cities, okay, you said there's a whole new world out there.
Yeah.
And that they didn't tell us about.
Right. Yeah. And then even just like where people grew up and from. So like I'm meeting people from New York, like that has really thick, strong accents. I'm meeting people in Atlanta, and and people have pride from where they're from, and it's just really like the East Coast is completely different from the Midwest and just the West Coast and everything. Like everything is so different, and I think specifically in St. Louis, like I think it's really important for everyone to leave. Experience the world, experience different things. If you want to come back, come back. But I personally, I'm like, there's so much I want to travel. Like now, I want to go international. So like, there's so many like experiences. I think us as I think a lot of Black people don't get to experience because we're not. We don't see a lot of it. I didn't see a lot of people. Young Black people traveling the world, but now I'm starting to see that because I was introduced to Howard, and now I'm connecting with people all over the states, and people are taking trips, inspiring me. So it's all about just getting out there.
Matter of fact, one of the things, I reflect when I was at Wilberforce that I had a lot of friends that I met that were from New York area. They had a strong accent, New Jersey accent, from the Boston area, that are very distinct. And nothing like you hear from the Southern accent that people talking up.
Yeah.
And they're very passionate about their neighborhoods.
Yes.
And I guess having been exposed to that, it kind of makes you, like you said, want to do things. So let me ask you a question, okay? Since you were able to experience, see the effect that COVID had. And I said that, you were, and I guess, in your field, that you have to be in a laboratory or in an environment, okay, where you can actually be in a studio or something like that. How difficult was that for you to make that adjustment?
I think it wasn't too difficult because like my major is like technology based anyway. So I think the most difficult thing was like when we had to do group projects and coordinating with others in different time zones, scheduling interviews, like just solving technical issues. Because if someone's Wi-Fi is down, it's like, okay, I still got to get good audio from this interview. Going out and getting footage. So I think it was just maneuvering the world in COVID, like, you know, just making sure that you have all the precautions, because it was like we could try to do everything from home, but it's like my professor really wanted us to get out and go get interviews and like be adamant about that, and not just, you know, go interview your friend or your mom's friend. Like, you know, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I was definitely pushed with that during COVID. And I would say the biggest issues I probably had was probably coordinating interviews. Not anything that was like anything I couldn't do, but I think just like coordinating with like COVID. So making sure that I'm staying safe to get the footage that I need, the B-roll that I need, getting the interviews, coordinating time, making sure there's no technical difficulties, making sure I have good Wi-Fi, just like things like that. And then, of course, just like staring at a computer all day. So, like, my eyes got tired. I had to go get glasses. Like, it's taking a toll because it's like I had 7 hours of classes, no break, just looking at the computer screen. So, like, it's taking a toll on my mental health. And I'm like, okay, let me go outside today because I haven't walked outside. So, but that was more so like when COVID first hit, like when everyone was really scared. But I'm glad like things are starting to lighten up a little bit. So it's like now we're getting back to you know, just getting back into the field. But it's like now I like working remote. So, you know, yeah, there's a lot of flexible, had to be flexible basically.
Well, Miss Frank, you know, our show today, we got to a slow start today, mainly because we normally coordinate things to my phone with Rev and Scott and all that. And we, for some reason, Scott could not call in. I was kind of concerned about you, okay, because it's the first time it happened. But I know a little bit about, okay, that normally on a full moon, okay, stuff goes on in the atmosphere. We're not familiar with the ultrasounds and stuff like that. And so we always have to be prepared at the last minute, okay, to figure out how to make something work.
Right.
You know, and before the COVID, okay, we always broadcast from our studios. But after COVID hit, couldn't do that anymore. So having said that, okay, as you look at how things have changed, okay, give us an example about some of the interviews that you were doing when you was in college. Some of the people, some of the agencies, the people that you spoke to.
I did an interview with a Howard alum who works at Essence Magazine. So basically we had a career fair, and we had different alumni that work in different fields within media come. So I interviewed someone that is an editor for Essence. I interviewed, he was the founder of a nonprofit. I feel like he was part of the National Association of Black Journalists. I interviewed him, and then just like little stories of beats that I had. So I'm just like those were the easy ones, just finding random people to talk to about a certain issue. Those were my favorites because it's like man on the street, real easy. Like someone's gonna say yes, like no one's gonna keep turning it down. Someone's gonna say yes. But it's like getting my expert for my interview. That's a little bit trickier because, you know, doing it over Zoom, I have to record that. But yeah, I got to speak to some cool people. I do wish that we were on campus when I took this class because I took it last year. So this year they usually go to the White House and they have a correspondence with that. So I did get to see some people from Howard like interviewing at the White House, and I was like, dang, I wish I would have got that. But you know, I still feel like I'm definitely well equipped to, you know, interview at the White House if I was given the opportunity. But
and also for the fact that you're not aware how University is located in Washington D.C., we give you access to a lot of resources other people don't have access to.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, and I give you a number of one of my members, Robert Brooks, okay, who works at Howard University and has a background, in the field that you want to go into. So the channel will be able to help you continue in that field in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion, because you are our future. And as a matter of fact, let's be corresponding right now. What were your thoughts in D.C. when you heard about the leak, okay, about this abortion deal with Roe versus Wade? What were your thoughts about that as a black female when you heard about that?
Honestly, I don't know why I keep being shocked, but it's just it's crazy how that can even be overturned, or how it's like a thing right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because that's a law, you know what I mean, and just personally, they're taking over, the Supreme Court is taking away all of our civil, all of our rights as, for blacks, and they just taking away laws, okay, at their own discretion just about.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's not about like pro-life or whatever. It's not just about that. It's like, I feel like, I have my own personal theory. So there's like there's like an article about how white people are going to be in the minority around 2053. So I think it's more about trying to preserve the white race, and I think that's why they're trying to have this agenda pushed out, because the people that are going to be most affected are underprivileged communities, such as the black community, and we have the highest mortality rate within childbirth. So it's not foster cares, all of that. It's not about pro-life, because they don't care about life. They don't care about black lives. They don't care about any of that. So it's really just fulfilling their own agenda, because it's like there's so many things that need to be put in place, and then it's actually really dangerous, because now people that have miscarriages can be put on trial. Like, there's so many technical, it's just, I think I have a hard time, overturning, because they're going to realize, hopefully they realize how many problems are going to arise because of this. And then even Missouri banning Plan Bs. It was Missouri, Tennessee, it was banning Plan Bs, and something else. I don't know. But even that's crazy.
We're not even aware people are not aware Missouri has some of the most restricted laws. Matter of fact, on our books here, which unfortunately, if Roe is overturned, it goes into effect. In Missouri, let's say, for instance, okay, you and your husband, or you and your significant other, okay, was coming from California to go to Chicago to get they're traveling, right? And let's say if you got pregnant while you stayed here, right? Well, and what about your journey? Well, in Missouri, if you got an abortion someplace else, okay, they feel they can track you down and put you in jail.
That's crazy.
I mean, they come with some laws, okay, that to me, seem like they had nothing better to do to try to figure out how to be evil.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's so many problems. We're in a whole pandemic.
Yeah, man.
So we're worried about the wrong things.
Right, and right now you would think, okay, that with our race of people, that's our race, our country as a whole, we need people, to survive. And I think also with this pandemic going on the way it is now, countries around the world are trying to increase their birth rates.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I know in China, it's a law to have more than 2 kids, but guess what? They saying how many you want now.
Yeah.
We're just going in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And those are some of the things, okay? But so now, being in D.C., give me your thoughts on this leak, okay? This is the first time in history. Do you think this was accidental? Well, naturally it wasn't accidental, because the media right now is always looking for answers. And this is the first time in the history of the court that something like this took place.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know because I feel like it's gonna be more work to try. Well, first of all, they're never gonna be able to like ban abortion. They just like people are still gonna get abortions. They're just not gonna be safe. Um, and that's just gonna cause even more problems. So I don't. I really, if they, I don't know, because it's really just mind blowing. Like how I like that's a human right, but it's like they just governing women's bodies. Like it's like for men, what if it was like, oh, everyone has to get a vasectomy because vasectomies for men are reversible. So it's
Not
like, oh,
always.
why don't we just do that? But they don't want to
They're not always
govern
reversible.
men's bodies.
They're not always reversible. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No.
Well, I know, but one of the things, okay, that coming to mind, there was a young man, okay, this was prior to, Roe versus Wade, that I've had friends of mine and saw people, young ladies, trying to use clothes hangers and stuff like that. And that's significant. You see a person with a clothes hanger, those was one of the objects, okay, they used to get abortions. And people, like I said, could you imagine? I don't even think about that one. That put a chill to my whole body. Even trying to think, because that's even conceive the idea that you're going to force someone. And Ms. Price, I just mentioned earlier in the program, I don't know if you were listening or not, that the pandemic that we're having right now, the biggest uproar was that people did not want to wear face masks. They did not want to wear face masks. As a matter of fact, most of the men, white men said, I don't want to put on face masks. I don't want a face mask. And so right now, if you don't want to have a face mask, some people don't wear a face mask. But now, okay, you're going to come and turn around, okay, tell a woman what to do with her body.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you don't want to put a face mask on, and so you're going to stop that in your health. And right now, the pandemic is alive and well.
Yeah.
Because I know in Missouri, I know it's alive and well, and here in Missouri, people wouldn't tell the truth if they're vaccinated or not. And so now you require, but so now you're seeing more and more people. Matter of fact, not only in Missouri, but around the world. Because I mentioned earlier in the program, you got in North Korea, they're under a pandemic alert there. And China right now is locked down also because of the pandemic. But in our country, we're saying come here, travel all you want to do. But right now, I understand the economics of it. But lives should take some precedent here someplace. And the same thing here when you come to abortions. Young people, mothers and stuff, there are a whole generation of 50-something years that didn't have a frank idea. They took stuff for granted because it was a law. It was a law, okay, and all of a sudden it's not being utilized. You can't use it. Also, give me your thoughts, okay? We just had a black female that was confirmed as the first black female on the Supreme Court. How did that make you feel? It definitely, she would have been for the conversation, okay?
Yeah, I mean it's great. It's crazy how just in my lifetime that I saw so many firsts, like first black president, first black vice president, and then when you think about how long we've had government, dang, why is it just now? But I'm glad she's first, but she's not gonna be the last.
Well, not only
it's inspiring.
Well, not only that, just this week, okay, we had the first black female confirmed, okay, onto the Federal Reserve Board, and those are the ones that set the rates and stuff. And she's the first black in 180 years to be on that board.
Oh wow!
And then also this week, well, not this week, but in the recent section, they have confirmed that the fourth black man to be on that board. And could you remember 180 years, okay, they have no presence, no black opinions, I should say, that was involved in any of the decisions making that was taking place.
Wow.
And so and that's why I said I guarantee you, if Supreme Court Justice Jackson had been on the Supreme Court, and this came up about this abortion and stuff, she would have been very vocal. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
As a matter of fact, the young lady that was appointed to the federal jury, her name is Miss Lisa Cook. She's in a black economist, and the black male was confirmed in this session also was named Philip Jefferson. Now keep in mind, each one of these probably had a lot of opposition from the Republican Party by them being on these boards, but they decide how your interest rates go, how much money you're going to spend, how your mortgage is going to go, anything you should do to how the money goes. At least we have some representation, and this is again from President Joe Biden's question, and these are the first time in history. And like I said, I'm having a whole lot of first time my own stuff. Okay, that I mean, so it's like you know to understand something. But having said that, coming from Missouri, and I know you just got home this morning, so thank you for taking time today. What are your thoughts, okay, about coming from the East Coast now, coming back to St. Louis? Is that some of a reverse culture shock to you?
Reverse culture shock. Well, I haven't seen too much. I literally went from the airport to here, but even just like the conversation about gentrification and then like rebuilding apartments that a lot of people can't afford. Because that's the same thing that happened within DC. So DC was known as like especially around Howard. Even Howard contributed to something by selling their buildings and dorms, so they could build these apartments that no one can afford. It's just going to bring in more white people and push black people further out. So I think that's one of the similarities between DC and St. Louis is a lot of gentrification is happening. So a lot of black people are being displaced, or rent is getting raised in certain areas, or people are trying to buy the houses out, and then people don't realize that you should hold on to your property because that's the value only goes up. So I think that was a similarity that I've been seeing, but a lot of the same things kind of happen when you look at like the bigger picture of it. So like I think gentrification is another issue. Crime, I don't know. I think St. Louis definitely has way more crime, but DC also has its fair share in Southeast too. So there's like a lot of similarities, wherever you go. But yeah.
Ms. Price, I was up in DC right prior to the pandemic hitting, okay, and we had a national Black Chamber of Commerce conference there, and we had up on the campus, okay, of Howard University, and I was just dumbfounded, amazed to see how many buildings were being torn down, and then they put these high rises up there.
Yeah.
I mean high rises,
No, yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
And I'm saying to myself now, the persons that live in these, how will they ever come back down here? And I was listening to the cab drivers. Those cab drivers in D.C. are some of the best historians in the world. And so y'all was telling us the history, okay, about what was here and what is coming here now, and the discrepancy that it's going to create, for the community.
Right.
Because never again will blacks. The prices in DC ain't nothing cheap.
Oh yeah, I'm aware. I am aware. The average one bedroom is $2,300. You can't even get studios are like $1,700, $1,800.
That's a month.
A month. Yep.
That's a month. Okay.
It's a month. I'm looking toward getting some property now because it's like I paid so much in rent. It's like, dang, I could have put a down payment on the house by now.
You've been heavily paid for.
Yeah. It is right.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that now that's one of the preferred areas that that we want to move back to.
Mhm.
Now, let me ask you a question. Okay, coming from St. Louis, and I know national press always, kind of report Missouri being the last, and and anything that's good, anything that's bad is always first, but crime, murders and stuff like that. How did that make you feel, being away from St. Louis, just listen to people talk about your city?
I see it all the time. If not, my brother will send me something on social media. There's always something. Um, it it just reminds me that there's work to be done. And just like, you know, I'm one of six children, so I always talk to my siblings. Oh, they're getting older, late teens, like, just having those conversations, and then even talking to like my grandmother about like things that are happening in the world. And that it's also about perspective too, because a lot of the conversations that I have with older people, I'm realizing that that a lot of people haven't seen the world or haven't seen too much, especially in St. Louis. I think a lot of people just stay here their entire lives. And it's like there's so much.
Right, they do.
Yeah, I'm like there's so much more than this. Like this is this is not the world. But it gets tiring hearing about the crime that St. Louis has to offer, like that, and that's just it. But I don't. I kind of contribute. I don't say contribute, but I haven't lived here for 5 years. Even when I was at Howard, I would do summer school, so I would barely come back. I come back the longest I came back was probably like a month in the summer, but after my junior year, I was, in DC full summers and come back for holidays and things. So it's like I don't really know too much about what goes on, but I know the majority of things that I do hear aren't too great. I mean, other than Tashara and he being elected as mayor, I was like, whoa, because I remember her coming to speak to us when I was in high school. So it's the little wins I hear about, but it's not enough in comparison to all the bad things that I hear. But I think that has to be a wake up call that the city has to have. People gotta want better.
Well, that's what the Missouri Chamber of Commerce is. One of our tasks is to improve the state of Missouri, not just St. Louis. And we got a whole lot of firsts that we're doing around the state. That we're doing things in Kansas City. We made some headways there. We gave some events there. And matter of fact, we brought a fishing derby here in Ferguson, Missouri. Where we was elected the first black mayor up there. Mayor Jones, who's been a guest on my program many times before she became mayor and after she became mayor. And so it's just some small tidbits that are taking place. But with people like you, it's bringing fresh blood and with fresh ideas. And if you don't bring in fresh thoughts and fresh new concepts, and then people who are aggressive about changing the world, and with St. Louis is one of those places that their tradition is to remain a tradition, and they come to change. No, this is how we do it, and this is what we're gonna do it, and we ain't gonna change it.
They're stuck in their ways, yeah.
They're stuck in their ways, and over my career here in St. Louis, I made a lot of changes. So has Reverend Lyles, so has Scott, and who is my co-host here on the radio. Matter of fact, Scott, how you doing? We talked to the Miss Elise, a recent graduate from Howard University. What I did, Ms. Price, I mentioned to you early on in the program that Cheyenne Hubbard, who's graduating cum laude, University of Missouri, Kansas City this weekend, she hosts a show every third Saturday about what's going on in the Zoomer generation. And we want to hear what is going on, what we don't know, and how you guys feel or think about the future. And how you see things changing or staying the same. And showing how we can be a part of something like that. And so I'm going to ask her to get with you, this on the air, that you guys can kind of team up together a little bit. Saying if you get the time, and it's all done. He's in Kansas City, okay. And most of the things we do, technology-wise, like you did in college, we do using the cell phones. The value technology that's out there. So now, having a background in telecommunications, so to speak, what do you see for the future? In terms of 5G technology affecting our lives.
We're definitely moving into a very technological world. Like you can't. It's going to be very hard to live without it. In terms of like opportunity for career, like social media, people are becoming influencers. People are starting to own businesses and thriving with their businesses through social media, just content creation in general. And that's kind of the route that I want to take. But my ultimate goal in life was to have my own talk show. So that's what I want to do. So I think even myself was just gonna start, taking social media more seriously and just like my brand, businesses, just talking about things that I do in my life because someone always wants to know something. Someone you never know who you could be inspiring. I know even me, a testament of me just finishing at Howard with no scholarships. Like had people. I think people let the idea of debt hold them back, but it's like you can still have debt and live your life, and get a house, do all these things. You just have to be responsible with it. So like, there's ways and avenues to things. I think social media is definitely going to, it can. I think social media it's good and bad because a lot of people are influenced heavily, and they don't vet out their sources. Because I come from a journalism background, so anytime I see a post or a headline or something, I'm like, oh, I know that's clickbait. Oh, this is from this source that's not credible. But not everyone thinks like that. They're just like, oh no, I saw that on the internet, so it's true. So it definitely, you kind of have to do your due diligence when it comes to like, what you let yourself see and like, feed yourself.
But Ms. Price, you raised a point there in another life, for lack of a better description. On the network, we used to have 3 networks. Anytime a newspaper, TV station, radio station put them on the air, it had been checked out at least 3 times, okay, before they hit the air. Nowadays, people, they could care less about it being facts. They just want to be the first. I told it first.
Yeah.
They got everything's breaking news.
Because everything is timely. It's all about time. That I 100% already know, because even within journalism, you have to be efficient and quick, but you have to be accurate, because as soon as you put out a story or a fact that's not true, your whole credibility is gone.
Right. Oh yeah, that's the downside. There's more fact checking now than it was before.
Oh yeah, people can say anything and get away with it. Now it's like, oh, that's actually not true.
I read a couple of articles. Matter of fact, oh my God, there've been several institutions that ran articles and did some studies on. It's a show on Fox News called Tucker Carlson, and they said most of the shows that people, most of that, his information is inaccurate, it's lies and stuff. But he still had the #1 cable TV show in the country.
Yeah, that's a lot of these podcasts too.
yeah, podcast. And then people, if you say what people want to believe, not that it has any truth to it, just what people want to hear.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's where our country is going in the wrong direction in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Amen.
You gotta do your due diligence. But I feel like that's, people within media's job is supposed to work on getting the truth out. Just honest, good writing, good like media, just being, intentional with their work instead of just like putting out anything. And then also teaching. I tell my brothers and sisters all the time, I'm like, that's not true. Like, you have to, who said that? Where did it come from? Is it a blog? Is this an opinion piece? Is this facts? Like, what is, like, So you can't say, oh, no, this is true, I saw it. Like, you have to vet out your sources. So I like arguing. I like arguing in the sense of like because I read so much and I trying to make sure that because I've been trained to do so, trained to find out the truth. So like people are like, oh no, that's not true. Like even with like small little stories on social media, I'm like, this is clickbait. Like this is someone's opinion and they're trying to put it off as facts, as a headline. So I just do my due diligence by sharing that's what a credible source is, even nipping that in the bud.
Miss Price, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here for a little bit, okay? At our station, you give some thought to it, having your own radio show. Our shows are being, like the show today, is featured on Facebook, YouTube, what is that, Twitch, Scott? And
Twitter?
YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and our own webpage.
And like I said, on our own webpage. And also, anyway, Spotify, you want to get a podcast, you can be heard. So if you need to get some consideration, okay, we'll talk about this off the air, maybe starting your career, okay, here at our station, if you get some thought to it.
Yeah, I'll definitely think about it. Definitely.
Telling the truth, the fact checking right now is where nobody wants to talk about the facts.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell me I heard through the grapevine.
Yeah.
And the grapevine, we already know, has already been proven to not be accurate.
That is very true.
Well, I'm not going to hold you. You promised me a half hour. You're giving us more, and I know you're tired. You just got in this morning. So, right now, what are your plans for the summer?
My plans for the summer. So, I like to take things one step at a time. But, so, May, I am in the process of, I want to get a full-time offer. That's my goal for this month. So I've been having interviews. I'm trying to go into like project management within media or like editing, just something within media, basically. I want to tend to my candle business. So I think when I started it in January, Priceless Palace, where I sell luxury candles. And I had a really good launch day, and then like school kind of kicked in, so I kind of fell off. So I just want to gain some of that momentum back with especially with Juneteenth coming up. So I'm gonna release a collection around then. Getting back to just a content creation in general. So like photography, booking grad shoots, just putting more of my work out there. And just improving my skills.
Right now, Ms. Price, we just been joined by a person, okay, that's in D.C. that probably can help you in many ways. He's Mr. Chuck DeBow. Chuck is our executive director of the National Chamber of Commerce. Chuck, we have a recent Howard graduate who just joined our chamber, Elise Price, and we just been talking about the media, and that's our background there. And in her career, that we congratulated her that she wanted to get in the media. And we've been talking about lack of fact checking, lack of accurate information that goes out all the time on the air. So, Ms. Price, say hello to Chuck DeBow.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part. You said what?
Say hello to Chuck. Chuck, say hello to me.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to meet you. And
What's up, Chuck?
Hey, my brother, the Right Reverend. Everybody on a glorious Saturday afternoon that leave it to our dear leader and father brother here, Mr. Ira Fowlkes, to bring such a hot, explosive topic at a right time. So if the question and the issue is a state of the union or a state of existence on media in general, then before we just say what everybody's feeling and seeing and observing, Ms. Price, what's your perspective? I think I heard him say you want to be in it, or you are in the media industry?
Yes, so I just graduated from Howard. I studied media, film, and journalism. My concentration was broadcast journalism, and I had a minor in photography. So a lot of the work that I did in school and in organizations I was a part of were like news-based, entertainment. So I've done a lot of different things, but just centering around media.
Where are you you're looking for a job now?
I am.
Okay,
yes.
All right. So, without a doubt, there is a
there's plenty of opportunity. And are you in DC now?
So I'm in St. Louis. Yes, I live in DC. I'm home right now visiting in St. Louis, but I live in DC.
Well, the Howard alumni is really rich and really at this particular moment deeply embedded in the core of communications and the media itself. And I would suspect is it a school of journalism?
Yes, the Kathy Hughes School of
Okay.
Kathy Hughes School of Communications. Yeah.
Kathy Hughes herself. I'm not sure what their news department's like, but whoever the dean of the school is, they have some really key alumni around DC. And Ira and I can point you or make suggestions and different things for you to help you. But certainly out on the black media side, there's a whole landscape of opportunity. But you probably have equal access and opportunity to walk right in someplace like CNN or Fox and get at least an internship or some entry-level position that really is the whole difference of being in or out, getting your foot in the door, a place to start. There are a lot of opportunities there. Now, the other questions are kind of like from a macro perspective, being that we're from the outside looking in, is like, whoa, what in the world is going on with the media? Well, the real default, and maybe you would have your perspective as well, is that the game has changed. Ira, last week we mentioned how the White House has actually created a position for essentially disinformation. And Mr. Kovacs was telling us how there's been some laws and some things passed where it's legal. The whole thing is legal now. So when you say that, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, time out. The basic rules have really changed to what this is. So that in itself creates some polarization to where do you go for the real news? Because we're on the black media side, and let's see, what is it in D.C.? Is there the Informer or the Washingtonian? There's some
You're cracking. I'll come back to your phone.
I'm right here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
No, that's better. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, I'm talking too much. There's a lot going on. And, Ira, where would you like us to go with this thought?
Well, right now, okay, Chuck, my thoughts are like your thoughts. Let me say this, okay? This is something checking out in the last couple weeks ago. And our chambers are doing a relaunching, okay, about how we somewhat operate. And one of the areas, okay, each chamber is going to try to, create its own market, own niche, so to speak. And the Chamber of Commerce, our niche has been from the start is telecommunications. And that encompasses radio, that encompasses television, internet radio. And we've been on the forefront since we started this show back in 2015, all right, Rev?
Amen.
Right, okay, so we've been around for a long time and a pioneer in that industry. And we also are looking forward to how we can direct, have our information on how people like yourself, Ms. Price, can find jobs. Because now, as Chuck just said, now is the time as people are looking for black ideas, looking for black information, but you got to be trained. And so, Chuck, something I haven't told you about here, we're going to kind of announce this a little bit here, that recently in the last month, the Missouri Chamber of Commerce has been asked to start a technology institute in Haytown, Missouri. And that would include everything, that's related to fiber technology, the 5G information, and stuff like that, which is the future. And so we've planned with Chuck's assistance to start having some webinars by which we can monetize our information that we can share with the world what we already know. Am I right, Chuck? You still there, Chuck?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I'm trying to keep my noise down.
Okay.
Well, Ira, you said a mouthful. You said a lot. Yes, you're right. But it is
not easy.
It's not easy, but it's too much like right. You know, when you're talking about, see, here's some of the things that have come out, like Nielsen was the partnership I think you're referring to in the webinars that we're doing. What we're finding out is that if you are not a billion-dollar, multi-million-dollar advertising entity or whatever, you haven't had access to this data. And data, I mean, it's really profound in that every click, every little thing you do, whether it's on your phone or on your computer or interacting with a website or how you consume a product or your travel or all these kind of things, everything is being super analyzed and logged and entered into a big database. That's what they're talking about, big data. And as consumers or small business, we haven't really had a chance to, let's just put it like this, see how the big boys really play and be able to get in the room or look over somebody's shoulder and do it on a no budget, a low budget. Social media has allowed us into that realm somewhat. And that's where, I mean, just in the past couple of weeks, there's been a big shift. And Ms. Price, I'd be curious to see, do they teach much about social media in your curriculum?
Yeah, so a lot. Yeah, we actually learn a lot about social media, specifically how to like build your own brand and even do like run as a solo journalist with your own, like managing different multimedia journalism through your social media. So I think we definitely did learn a lot about social media and how to like build your brand and build your get out stories and just different content creation to make your stories interesting through social media.
Well, sounds like we have an opportunity for you. Absolutely.
My exact feeling when I talked to Nick originally, I felt the same way.
Well, absolutely, but that is what, like, one of our board members is previous chairwoman of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, and black newspapers have been struggling to survive this thing that happened probably with the advent of digital media, of people shifting away from like buying the newspaper or getting a magazine in the mail or picking it up on the newsstand. You know, back in the heyday when Ebony and Jet was really happening, you know, Ebony would give us kind of lifestyle and stories, but Jet could drop a couple paragraphs on something that happened somewhere people had heard about. They go, and get people talking about it. Then radio kind of came out a little bit more. And then we had BET, even though they never really went heavy on news, they did have a little bit of news. But when a reporter from a black paper or a black radio station or in some cases even a black sensitive or even owned TV station showed up on the scene of breaking news, then there was a sense that, well, we can't spin this story. We're going to have to be held to some kind of accountability to match up the images that they will see or convey from the reporter being on hand or the camera being there to what really happened. Well, here we are now that, lo and behold, everybody's walking around with a camera, a recording device, and right there on the scene, and we're seeing so much more. I mean, thinking back, one of the first ones that pops in my mind is Rodney out there in L.A.
Rodney.
Yeah, when can't we get along? Well, man, they were just beating this brother down, and everybody standing around. Somebody back that day had something that recorded that image. Well, fast forward all the way to George Floyd, everything else that we're seeing now. We're seeing it to the point where they had to fight back a little bit and say, okay, we need body cams. We got to put a camera on the patrolman or on the dashboard of the car or whatever. So we have a chance to counter that and tell your lying eyes what you really saw. You know, even though in some cases it is for the good and protective, I'm fair on that. But where I think we are right now is, you know, they talk about this woke thing. They took a black culture thing on being woke and spun it into something whole totally different. I mean, you know, how unsurprising is that? You know, woke now has to do.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, you know, woke now. When you talk about woke, and they're saying it in the media, and you're hearing it on the news, and it's a political term. It has to do with you know, the black education issue and gay and all this other stuff. Like we're the woke and what are they culture? They're killing the culture, culture correction, or whatever they call it thing. Where
critical. Now you got me tapped on.
Yeah.
Critical.
Yeah, the critical education piece, and then there's like political correctness or cultural correctness that kind of started with tearing down the statues because it offended us back then or whatever. And you know, there's two sides to that even. But really now, when we're talking about woke, we're talking about I'm talking about us right here. We're talking about being awake, being alert, and doing your own homework, and doing your own research, and not relying on television or what somebody said or heard, because they got people and computers and different things right now that are totally there to give you some other thing to think and to create chaos or to create dissension or to create different opinions and to create confusion. That's what we're seeing now. That's exactly what's happening. And the whole thing is, so what's the end game? Where is this going? What's really happening now? You know, who's the boogeyman? Is it a Democrat or is it a Republican or is it just a joke? And somebody somewhere is sitting back being entertained watching everybody fight each other. That's the news. That's the news of the moment.
You know, Chuck, one of the great examples of that right now, especially because of blackness, okay, in Pennsylvania right now, they have an election next week, and Dr. Oz and some other billionaires, millionaires, okay, in that race, and this black lady, who had no money, who just went around, okay, and she truly meet the Republican mega culture that what they all stood for, but now she is tied neck and neck and may become the nominee for the Republican Party, and now they're reversing their own technology about how about her, trying to reverse it on her because she's a black woman.
Well, that's the story of the midterm elections. That's the story that's really taken its lead on its own, organically. And what you just said was it. She didn't have the big money. She just went out here and they just had interviewed her a short time ago today, and I was watching it. And I said, she's very likable because she's just herself. She doesn't have an agenda. She's not trying to speak for this or speak to that, but I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I've done this, and this is my perspective, and I'm just trying to do it. People are hearing that, and they're have feeling affinity to it, opposed to, the big machine. We're so sick and tired of the big money and the machine going on with everything about how we can look at it and kind of like stay behind the glass or outside the fence, but y'all don't worry about it. Let's go here and handle this. And that's part of the problem, how it's just gotten so out of hand or insensitive to the people that are really being served.
And the biggest story here is, okay, that all the top people right now who spend millions of dollars right now all are converging trying to beat her up right now.
I heard an interesting analysis using the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
And part of that is that the subtext is believing in yourself, daring to try, daring to be great. But that horse cost $30,000. It wasn't even in its plan, dream, vision. Kentucky Derby wasn't even in their vocabulary until like the day before.
80-1 shot.
And that horse got out there, and it looked like it was crazy or whatever. But imagine that in society. Somebody comes out with different ideas. Somebody comes from a different neighborhood, or somebody comes from a different philosophy or ethnic background or difference or whatever. And they come up and they're like, "Oh no, he ain't got a shot." Don't even. Based on what? Based on who? Did y'all give it a pre-race workout? Did you say it is impossible? No, it was very possible. And that's what we're seeing in society right now, that people are trying. I mean, Elon Musk is a guy that has thoughts and ideas, and he believed in himself to get to that first tier, that first step. And even though, like, I think the first company he really sold like for 300 million, that was nothing compared to the 44 billion and all this kind of stuff he's playing in now. But he believed in himself, and he went and applied himself. And whether he's Illuminati, deep state, and all that, but he's innovating technology and other things that are coming about. We're seeing that. We're seeing that in a number of different ways. Definitely, somebody is not or made on the factory production line, that's being spit out. On a whole nother topic here, Irish, something I heard that I thought about, and I thought, man, it's really apropos. But we have, and they don't want you to think about it. But what happened with this pro-life and the leaking of the document and all that?
Yes, sir.
The news on it. But I heard a couple of white people saying this, that it's all about a white man thing, because 60% of abortions were white babies. And this majority becoming the minority thing, and all these people coming across the border, hey, none of them white. I mean, you ain't got no Eastern European in there. Maybe 1 or 2 out of 5,000, 50,000, or something like that. They try to get these Afghans in here, but you can't change the tide. You can't change the way the moon affects the water. You can't change nature.
Well,
and it's happening.
Well, Chuck, before you came on, Miss Franks, maybe you had that same idea. We were talking about that earlier, remember?
Yeah, the exact same thing about the majority becoming the minority, and they don't want that.
Oh no, they don't want it. They don't want it so bad that what can we do? We don't know what we can do. We can overturn Roe versus Wade. That'll put 60% back in, and we're gonna force you to have a baby. No, I don't think so. And so what? Then all white men are gonna go out and make white babies, so they can offset that. It's like, that's how desperate or how bad things are from some minds, some perspective, some people's opinion, that's how they're going to do it. Because I was trying to think to myself, what in the world would make all of a sudden this come right back to the forefront after, 40 years, 50 years?
50 years.
50 years of this thing, and everybody's going, and it's kind of like, it is what it is. We got so many other things in the world now. And here all of a sudden, now people ready to fight each other and go over, like, what?
We're going backwards. We're going backwards, Chuck. Given that fact, the Supreme Court took away, equal rights. Something that was passed in 1965. The law, they have gutted that and make it difficult right now, for blacks to even vote. Matter of fact, in Georgia, if you get somebody some water, a piece of food while they're standing in line, you can go to jail. Give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, come on. We all worked in elections before. There's some hot days out there. There's some cold days out there. But you got to wait in line hours at a time, because you only have 2 or 3 polls in your neighborhood, and on the other side of town, they got 15 polls open for you to vote in. Nice little birds in the background.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's the whole landscape. Whether you talk about the election or political issues on it. It kind of comes down to like, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? And we're not here to try to tell anybody what to be or what to think. But we sure are going to have a nice smorgasbord of things to draw from and decide if did you know this, and here's some information. And we did fact check it. We are saying it. We are standing behind what we will tell you, that we did our math and we know what's up. But we're saying everybody do the same thing, and when we put our heads together, we can't be outthought. You know, somebody might have more money than us, but at some point, but that's where I think that's what the historians and the sociologists are saying, that it leads to chaos when people feel their vote don't matter or their dollar don't matter. Going way down with the economy in this past week. You know, there's a lot of news that isn't being reported, or it's just being touched on. Like, oh yeah, there was a big cloud of smoke over off the horizon, and we think it's a brush fire or something, but then they don't tell you that some nuclear power plant or something happened. Or take COVID, for example. Ira, when we first started talking about COVID, we're like, there's something more to it. You know, on the first day, early 3 days, they hadn't really wanted to admit it.
The first week or so. The first, check out something else I brought up early on. Bitcoin right now is taking a major hit in cryptocurrency. And that's why I think a lot of people's money, because people invested in that now, are losing billions and trillions of dollars.
They're being wiped out. You know, so I was referring to that, but I didn't know if we want to go there. But it is a fact that it's being manipulated.
Yes.
On purpose. At the same time, they're telling you, we told you Bitcoin was never nothing and all like that. Those same people that are saying it are quietly, they call it off the board trading or something, where they go into a brokerage and they're doing transactions that don't show up on the ledgers, that don't show up on the thing that makes the price shit. So while they're driving it down, the more it goes down, the more money they're dumping in. They're taking control of it.
Mm-hmm.
And because the banks and the governments, they're going to say, we can't stop it, so we're going to have to kill it and take it.
Ain't that the same as money laundering?
Yeah, it's all that and then some, because what happens is it's not really an ancillary, and it may not be what they're really trying, but something that comes out of it is the middle class gets wiped out. Any of these hedge funds that are in there, your 401ks, your pension funds, all them kind of things get wiped out. You know, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could just sit there and watch that thing drop. So you gotta bite the bullet and hold on. And as they say, you buy the dip. It's gonna come back. You write that down, put it in the envelope, whatever. Say, I said it, we said it. It's gonna come back up. It's gonna come back up in a big way. I mean, bigger than it ever was before. Because now the big boys have put their money in.
Well, Chuck, right now we're gonna wrap this up. Give us your thoughts, Ms. Franks, and thank you. But Chuck, go ahead. What are your thoughts? Final thoughts here.
Stay tuned. We got a lot of great things coming. We're launching our 200,000 scholarships for certifications and a number of different topics with the American Dream Scholars. Ira, you're a pioneer leader on it. I actually went and tested out the system a little while ago, and it was working, and it seemed to be working for me. I want to talk to you about it, but we've got 200,000 scholarships that are 6-month online training where you get a certification in a number of different areas, but two of the big ones that are really popular are cybersecurity and data analysis. And 60% of the people that have applied to the 29,000 so far are women. And they're in most of the major cities. So, you know, we're going to make sure everybody gets fair information, same opportunities. So that's just one of the things we're doing. And we've got so much more that we can be talking about. Ira, thank you for giving us this opportunity to get this all together. Reverend, thank you for praying over us and keeping us focused. And Ms. Price, we're going to support you in any way that we can, and stay positive and believe in yourself that you have sacrificed to get through your education to get where you are. And there are plenty of opportunities out here. Just don't be afraid to see.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, that's Scott, that's Rhea, that's Chuck, and that's Ms. Price. My name is Aaron Fowlkes, host of the Chamber Conference. Thank you for another beautiful Saturday. Have a blessed week. And also, please continue to wear your face mask.
Amen.
I can do what we say.